All right, folks. Welcome back. We are not in the garage. We are in the digital realm. I'm in Figma, and I want to go through some things here. So I'll start right here. So what I'm going to show you is the latest designs with some kind of finishings and colors and some stuff that I think will make the space come alive a little bit. Um, all of this is subject to change, of course. This is, nothing is set in stone. Um, so these are some ideas. We can kind of pull some things we like out of these ideas or change some things up. It's kind of let's get the conversation started. And these are things I've been thinking about and making some decisions based on some things you've said and what I know about the project and you guys and budget and everything. So these are some informed decisions, but they are, think of this like wet clay. So let's start here. Let's start right here with the living room facing the kitchen. So what I have here is these doors, these antique French doors that I mentioned. I think, and I mentioned them in my document. Uh, these we can do lots of different things here. I just put these in here because I wanted to see what they look like. I think they look cool. They look great. Remember that these are 89 inches tall, so your normal opening, is probably here-ish. A normal opening is 80 inches tall. So these or actually the opening is probably about right there, the top of the opening. And these are a little taller, pretty cool doors. So yeah, so that is the living room facing the kitchen. So I wanted to show this too, just to give you a sense for what this could look like with these doors open and with the doors kind of sitting against the wall flush. And as you can see, they kind of just fit in the space. Um, and I think we can have a mechanism to kind of keep the doors against the wall and have this open space. I think it'd be pretty darn cool. Okay, so before we get into those elevations, I want to go here and talk about some changes to the floor plan that I've made. So a few things here. One thing I'm trying again. Think of this like wet clay. Nothing's set in stone. And I love this pun, set in stone. Um, One thing I did here, I thought, well, maybe we just take away these cabinets here and kind of extend the pantry a little bit and have this little bar overhang. Um, just a little bit of extra. One second. A little bit of extra space there. Hopefully that didn't ruin my video here. A little bit of extra space, but keep this open. And this will give us, with this table here, this gives us 46 inches to the wall, which I think is a good, that's still 64. So you could even do just a little bit longer table if you wanted, and still have plenty of space there. And that feels like, some good space there to, have some open wall that you can put a chair there or a little table, or you can do whatever you want there. Um, so I know you'll get a better sense once we look at the side elevation. The other difference here, well, a couple more things. So the other thing I'm doing here is I thought about adding this little overhang here. This is about 10 inches of overhang. It's about 24 inches here, 10 inches, 10-inch width here. So I thought about this just partly because it's like we can end the countertop right at the wall, which is fine. But I thought this little overhang could be kind of nice. It's another little bar area that you may not sit in, but you might if you are in a stool, let's say probably about 20 inches or so. If you're in a couple stools here at the peninsula, you could kind of sit in this corner and be a cozy little corner here that you can kind of just sit right there and in this little nook. So just a little thing that I thought could be a nice touch and is not going to add too much expense. So that is that. The other thing here I'm thinking about with this angle is, well, I think this will make more sense once we look at the side elevations. So I'll talk more about that when we look at the side elevations. But yeah, that's other than that, I've pretty much kept things as is. I know we did talk about, or we're kind of still in the midst of thinking about, do we keep the dishwasher in the same spot in the trash, and so we can talk more about that solution there. So okay, cool. Let's dive in. So we're from the living room, we're entering into the kitchen. We've opened the doors. Voila. So, okay, here is the north wall that we would see. So I just tried to kind of add some things in, give it a little bit of flavor, a little bit of texture. get a sense for materials. So um, let's start over here. So let's start with this floor to ceiling cabinet. I haven't really changed much here. I've just kind of been looking at, okay, how do we trim this out? But one thing I did do is I did add this little, this could be marble or like a quartzite countertop here with this little inset. So these are, this would be kind of part of or a side panel of the cabinet, and this little inset, little backsplash stone, which I think could be pretty cool. And this would be a top view, so the upper cabinets are more shallow than the lower, and you'd have about 9 inches of this little counter space, and we might be able to find like a remnant piece that we could get for a good price. So yeah, so I thought that kind of came alive to me when I was looking at it. So the door here, you might notice that the door is on the left side here. And I just did this. We can always move it over. Of course, this is where it normally is right now. But I did this because I was at an architectural salvage, and I found this old door that had this profile, this single panel um, profile that was at a good price, but it swung the other way. It was the same size, but it swung the other way. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, maybe that may not be too bad to have a door that kind of opens, as opposed to over here where you're kind of um, you know, opening into kind of the dining area, where this might, if you open it, it's kind of more opening into the kitchen kind of workspace, which might feel a little more private. So just something to think about. Um, Nothing really different here with the refrigerator and cabinet. Just kind of working out some details about how to do that cabinet and build it. So, okay, now that we're over here, so this is a little different here, as I mentioned. So we'll start with the wall here. So what you see here, this is an idea to do like a board and batten trim. So in all of this, I'm liking the idea of just kind of washing this whole wall in the same color, kind of trim, cabinets, everything, which might feel like a lot. And this is obviously, we can change that if you want these things to kind of pop a little bit. But a lot of the old craftsman houses, they would do this kind of wash, or a lot of it was actually like they would just do like wood. It'd be like wood everywhere, all the same tone wood. Um, and It's kind of hard to see it just in this context because we're going to have some pops of color elsewhere. But Anyway, so this board and batten. So this was just a thought to just like a little element here that kind of runs in the same line as this cabinet. This is kind of a side view of the cabinet next to the banquette. Kind of an extension of the baseboard and this cabinet. Just a little feature, especially if it's all kind of painted the same color. I think it could be kind of neat. So one thing about this cabinet, another thing that I was exploring, and this kind of came from talking to Jay, the cabinet designer salesperson at Kydell, this place called Kydell in Bond Hill. We were talking about this, and he kind of liked this idea too, and so I wanted to see what you guys think of it. And the idea is that this cabinet is taller than a standard cabinet height. So a standard cabinet base cabinet and counter is about 36 inches. So it's kind of more like this height. Standard base countertop, it's going to hit at about 36 inches. This is bar height, which is 42 inches. So I thought about this. I thought this could be kind of cool, especially with this little overhang. You kind of have this little bar area. It also gives you more space in your pantry. So it kind of expands, gives you, taller drawers basically. So yeah, is something to think about. It could be kind of fun just to play with the heights a little bit, because the peninsula that will be like, let's say right here, just make that black to match. The peninsula will be kind of more like this height, so it'll be a little bit taller than the peninsula. So it could just be kind of fun to play with heights and be a little space. I kind of see this as like a little space you could like sit and eat, or you could kind of stand and work on your laptop for a moment or whatever. We've got the redwood shelves here, which I'm still keen to do, but I'd love to hear your feedback on those. And I was thinking about a way to support these shelves using kind of a similar corbel that's on, kind of grab some inspiration from the corbels on the window. to support the shelves, and they would be painted the same color. I thought about these in wood, but I kind of like the idea of them sort of floating, um, or having the illusion of floating, kind of, even though you'll obviously see these corbels below. Okay, so let's move into the dining area where we're gonna change up the vibes. And before I go on, this is kind of the side view of those shelves and those corbels. Um, okay, cool. So now we are looking at the banquette wall. So my thought here, I wondered about this, is maybe we do kind of an oak, kind of match the floor, kind of an extension up from the floor. We've got the oak floor here, an extension up from the floor, but these cabinets and this light stone countertop that could be the same as this. Um, so little, 15 inch by 15 inch little storage um, door there, and still kind of working out the details of the banquette, but I think it will. I'd like to, well, I'm thinking about, maybe doing this in oak, or kind of trimming this out in oak. So still working on that, but I like the look of this kind of just this oak wall. And you kind of, okay, we're in the dining area now. It's a little different. It feels a little different. It's a little warmer, a little cozier, a little lower. You kind of bringing the eye down. Even from here all the way, you're kind of bringing the eye down, bringing down the shelves. Even kind of do that. We're kind of bringing it down to this kind of cozy low area. And I did put the curtains in here too. And I just made this blue. It could be anything. It could be, maybe orange. Could be fun. Oops. You get the idea there. I thought the blue was kind of nice too, but yeah, we can get really creative with the fabrics here and even the curtains. Um, and these are the sconce lights. So I think this can be just a really fun, cozy. It's like a place to add some color and fun and whimsy. Um, so more on that to come. So, and then we're looking at a side view here that we will get into. Let's just go right into that. So this is kind of a side view of, so the banquette is right here. We're looking at that little small cabinet and counter next to the banquette. And then this is kind of your dining, not like plates and not dining storage in that sense, but just kind of like art supplies and blah blah blah. Put your record player up here. So it's sort of like replacing your credenza, your current credenza, with this, plus these two, and then another cabinet that I'll get to in a moment. I don't want to talk about that just yet. So yeah, so you got the oak cabinets here, and then the table, and then we come into kind of the main kitchen area. So yeah, there's a lot happening here. Actually, I'll show you this version. It's a little bit different. Yeah, so there's some things happening here that we should talk about. I think the most striking thing is these kind of dark base cabinets. Um, and this is something that was, when I shared the calendar, it seemed to resonate. I think especially Zoe liked it, the dark base and then the lighter uppers. And sorry, these are kind of, your cabinets will not look like that. We'll fix all that. And then rain showed here. So yeah, so I kind of just wanted to try this, and as I did, I was like, okay, I do kind of like that. I do kind of like I like the vibes kind of, because I think what could be cool here is, have these dark cabinets. You could even do a dark granite top, and it could just be this like cool dark moment. I was even looking at this Bosch, this Bosch range that you can get in this like kind of black stainless steel, which it's kind of maybe controversial because you might want to do regular stainless steel to match your fridge and your dishwasher, but I don't know. I think the dark is just kind of awesome, and it sort of feels like this kind of modern. I like the mix here. I like the contrast of kind of the modern look, with the more traditional look. There's also something that's nice about the range and cook and prep area just being black. It's kind of like smoky. It's like where we're doing some work here. So white uppers, which I do like. I don't think I would want to do dark uppers. I think it would just be kind of like, whoa, too imposing. So, an extension of the redwood shelves here. So yeah, let's talk about this backsplash too. So real quick, this is this little Eames stool is here just for reference. You guys don't need to use Eames stools, but I wanted to just put it there just to show this is the peninsula, and this would be the wall. So to refresh your memory here on, this would be kind of looking this way at, and the Eames stool here looking at the peninsula, and then the countertop um, and the wall. So that is what we're looking at. So this would be this would be the countertop, bar overhang with the seat, and then this would be the little 10-inch. And then for this bottom section, this would be just wall. With these, we would probably need some kind of support to support the granite over here, the stone. So I was thinking maybe we could just do a similar thing, and kind of an extension of the board and batten that is over here. Yeah, just to kind of really tie everything together. And then I thought about painting it the same color as the cabinets and just kind of have this, this is kind of just like full dark, moments from door to door. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about this backsplash. So this is kind of a first pass at some backsplash ideas, and we can do different things here. I've got this handy little thing here. So, if we want, you might want like a green could be kind of cool. So you could do something like that, which could be really fresh and nice. So something to think about. There's lots of different things we could do. I was trying like a buttery yellow too. Ooh, it's kind of weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Oops. Oh, okay. We're freezing up. We are freezing up. Okay. Let's go back to the white for now. There we go. I did kind of like the white. It's like a little bit of an off-white, and it's just kind of classic. And this would be Rickwood tiles. That's what I would push for. And they would obviously they wouldn't look exactly like this. There would be sort of some variation, and they're kind of like they would have a handmade look. So what is happening here? So this is called the Tree of Life tile. And I'll come back to this in just a moment. I'll come back to that, but I want to talk about this little feature. So yeah, still kind of exploring some ideas around the tile. I did have originally like, well, what if we just do subway tile? It's kind of just classic, and I think you could do like a stacked or a vertical, but I think that's going to feel modern, which is not bad. We can do anything you want, but you'll see what I'm doing here is I was doing something a little different with kind of mixing up the widths here. So this is the longest tile here is a 2x8. This is a 2x4, and this is a 2x2. So I'm kind of mixing things up. And this came from a conversation I had with, I was meeting with the Rookwood tile folks, and I was over there the other day, and I was like, do you know anyone who would install this backsplash tile? And she rattled off a few names, and she's like, this person, and then this person, he's going to be the most expensive. He's going to take the longest time, but he's going to do the best job. He's going to do like museum quality work. So I was like, well, I want to meet this guy, even if we don't hire him for this project. He sounds like an interesting guy. So I gave him a call, and we had coffee yesterday, which was fun. And I showed him what I was doing here. And he was kind of like, he's like, it's fine. He's like, it's just kind of subway tile. It's just like what everybody's doing. And he was right. I told him this was like kind of just a first pass. I mean, we could do some colors. We could do lots of different things, or different patterns. So I was just starting to play with some things, just to make it a little more interesting, and playing with some different shapes and stuff. He gave me some really good tips too about how to handle junctions with door trim and shelves and whatnot. So, but what was inspiring here is, let's see. Okay, so oops, let's see. I can't get that totally in view. Let's open this in a new tab. Okay, so what are we looking at here? This is old brick. This is not like new brick to make look old. This is literally an old building. So what I've learned recently, separately or separate from this tile conversation, is these. So you notice here you've got these long bricks and these short bricks. You got a row of uh, skinnier, not as wide, narrower, I should say. You got this row of narrower bricks, and then you've got this row of longer bricks, and then row of narrower bricks. And what they used to do with bricks most brick houses that you see now are it's a brick facade, but back in the day, brick was used, as the wall, um, the wall structure. So what they would do is they would have these long bricks kind of laid on their side, and then they would turn the brick so to make it longer to kind of give it more depth in the wall. So it kind of if you kind of think about it being like if you're looking at the top view of this brick wall, it would be like two rows of bricks and kind of this interlocking brick that's just a brick kind of rotated, which gives it the structure. And now you'll see this everywhere. If you look at an old building, if you look at an old brick building, you'll see this a lot. Um, now that I've pointed it out to you, and so yeah, it's something. So I was kind of trying that here. So I was kind of trying that here with, well, first of all, with this little detail around the edge, which I think can be kind of fun. It's a little square. So then you've got this smaller one, and then three rows of longer ones, and then the smaller one. And kind of just playing with some stuff around this tree of life piece. So yeah, that's what I'm. It has a nice look to it. I think it has like an arts and crafts feel to it. It has like a little more of a I don't know, a little more of a handmade feel. Um, just looking at it compared to this, just kind of feels like what everybody's doing. So anyway, lots to talk about with the backsplash, and still open to the stone if you want that. A couple things about stone, the stone backsplash. It's going to be more expensive for one, and we might just run into some trickiness. We would have to have a seam somewhere, so that might be you may not notice it like as much on a workspace, but if it's on the wall, you might notice it more. So I'm definitely keen on the tile, but certainly open to open anything. So now let's look at, actually before we do that, let's look at the side. This is kind of the side view, um, looking at the peninsula and this kind of microwave that would also be the dark stainless steel. Okay, so now let's look at this. So probably the thing that's most notice at first is what is this? What is this thing? So this is this other rookwood tile. This is called the Whitman Rook. So let's talk about these let's talk about these tiles. So this is the Tree of Life. It's 8 by 8 inch. This is the Whitman Rook. So let's look at these. So, Tree of Life. This is pretty cool. It was originally designed in 1907, um, and it's kind of this hand-painted tile. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. You can go see it in person at the Rookwood retail store down on Race Street in Findlay. Um, so this could be fun. It's like you just buy like I think it's actually a little bit more because what you can do is you can do custom colors. So we can pick whatever colors we want. We can't really change the design, but we can choose. Let's do light blue back here, whatever, or change the outside, the glazing on the outside. So yeah, so that's the Tree of Life, and then the Whitman Rook is just this other little curious thing. The Whitman Rook. This is not an old tile. This was designed, I think, like in the 2000s. But it's kind of this storied bird. Apparently, there were rook birds that were kind of all over the original, or all around the original Rookwood studio that was over in Columbia, Tusculum, kind of close to where the precinct is. It doesn't exist anymore. There's like a road or something going through it. Maybe even the train tracks might go through it where it used to be, but it's not there anymore. But apparently there were these rook birds. So same kind of thing here. I think we can kind of customize the colors to match. So that's what you can do them kind of facing either way. So that's what I was doing here. I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. For one, I just thought like, oh, it's just kind of fun and curious. It's like a place to add some whimsy. The rook bird is actually kind of cool. You can do your own research, but it's like a really social bird and has some good symbolism, has some good like symbolism around maybe wisdom or kind of social. They're like very social. They're like talk a lot to one another. Um, they're kind of similar to like a raven, but a raven is more solitary. The rook is more of a social bird. The other thing that I thought is kind of neat is to just kind of tie into the black, that we if we do the black here, kind of tie it into the black in a fun way, and just I don't know, just have this little fun moment. it may be, you may not like this. You don't have to like this, of course. We can do anything. We can just not have a tile there, or we can do something else. There's other interesting little art tiles. Oh, let me get this back there. There's other interesting art tiles. If you go on Rookwood's site, there are lots of fun tiles and birds and different things that we could look at. So yeah, that is yeah, and that is the west wall. So yeah, there's lots of things we can do though. I there's a green cabinetry here that can be used here or even in this space, which we can explore all that. Maybe we can do that in person and kind of just try different things together in person in Figma, just to give you a sense. But you can already see, this green compared to the black. But the last thing I wanted to mention is, I like the idea of kind of mixing up the these zones. This is kind of the cook and prep zone. This is the cozy dining zone. This is sort of a different zone here. This is kind of similar to well, it's akin to the cooking and prep zone, but it's a cleanup zone. So I'm using a light countertop here. So black base with light countertop compared to the black on black. Over here we've got the wood on white, and then over here we've got the white with black, and then white with white. So just a way to kind of mix things up, but also hopefully kind of make it feel cohesive. I think with this black countertop, that's going to tie into the black peninsula, and this white countertop kind of ties into the white in the dining room and in the kitchen. So yeah, that is that. So again, just as a strong reminder, these are jumping off points. So let's get the conversation started. See what you like. Are there things you like about this? Things you don't like? Things we want to explore? We can do anything. We haven't taken any walls down. We haven't ordered anything. So there's plenty of time to make changes. But hopefully this gets you excited and gets the ball rolling.